Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing good today. I am here to talk about a fun little surprise about my book. So I've talked briefly about The Project, which is the first book in the series. Um, I'm very proud of this book. It was a book that was many, many years in the making. So that has been published since December. It is actually on my Amazon. I will link it in probably one of the comments because I can't seem to get links to work in my description. If I do get it to work somehow, then it'll be there, but otherwise I'll like pin a comment or something, so that if you're interested that you can investigate it yourself. But this is the first book in the series. My cross keeps twisting and tying. I don't know why. Something's going on with the chain. I guess I just have to leave it. Oh well. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, first book in the series. So let me tell you a little bit about the project if you have not seen any of the other videos that have had like brief mentions of my book. So the project is basically follows the main character who is Vance. This is him on the cover. I know you can't see it super well, but that's him on the cover. He is from a small village out in the countryside of the country called Yulcia is the name of the country. His village is called Ickery Village. Um, and Acre Village lives by like the old ways, is what they call it. But basically, they just avoid advanced technology because they think advanced technology isn't good. It's not good for society and it's not good for them. And it disrupts the just regular flow of life. So he's been raised with no technology. But there is this city that is extremely technologically advanced called Zatch City, and it is in far northern Ulcia, but they can kind of see it from where they live because of how massive it is. And the city is known for its technological advancements and human experimentation. They have a lot of super soldiers. They have a lot of like specific covert spies that are enhanced by using special chemicals and things like that. And every once in a while, the spy group, they're called the elites, they end up going out throughout the country of Ulcia, and mostly to small towns, backwater villages, and so forth. And they try to find volunteers for their experimentation that happens in Zatch City. They take people willingly or unwillingly. They don't really care. In Vance's case, it was unwillingly. So he was taken away from his home, from his sister who is sick, and he is dragged all the way over to Zatch City, where he sees for the first time many technological advancements, and it totally freaks him out. This story is really his journey on becoming this project. He is the project, and they're using him specifically for a certain project, I guess I'll say that word again, that is to fight a group of people that are known as the Narzenzi. And the Narzenzi are they're not human, but they have a human appearance. However, all of the Narzenzi have silver hair and glowing eyes, and their eyes are very unique colors. Like they can be really bright blue or really bright green or purple or orange or red or whatever. So different colors. Um, and they are also gifted with special abilities in their blood. So a lot of them have control over elemental abilities, like some can make earthquakes happen, some can make fire happen, some can make wind blow really hard. Like they have different elemental abilities. And humans don't have anything like that. So they try to create that in the soldiers that they make. Um, so that's kind of where I'll leave it because I don't want to get too far into it. That's kind of the introduction there. And Vance is dragged into this. And now he's not only freaked out at being turned into a super soldier, he's freaked out because he's going to be part of this anti-remnant faction. That's what it's called, because the remnants is a nickname by the humans for the Narzenzi because there's not very many of them left. So they want to get rid of them. It used to be that they were all over the place, but now not so much. But they're still holding on. Okay, they're vicious little guys. And so he's totally freaked out about that because children are raised on like bedtime stories to instill fear in them about Narzenzi, basically. That they, they'll come into your room and they'll eat you if you don't stay in bed, kind of thing. You know how like the Grimm brothers wrote fairy tales about things like that? It's kind of the same thing, like to make children behave, kind of the same thing, but they use Narzenzi as the boogeyman for everything. So yes, it goes into that. And um, I guess that's where I can leave it there. But Vance is totally freaked out, and but he has to do it. So it's a little bit scary. So I will say, like, my story, I kind of rate it in the T range because there is violence and there is war and there is some scary things that happen. Nothing. Um, Nothing spicy happens. I want to make that very, very clear. I am very anti-spice in all of my work. Not anti-romance, but anti-spice. And so really the only thing that you may see in this book that is like a little bit traumatizing in any way, or if you're not comfortable with it, would be violence. So if you do not want to see that, though it is not gratuitous in any way, I don't believe in making things disgusting. It's just sometimes in a story about war or, with an enemy of some kind, there's going to be violence. So that's about it, but certainly nothing of any other sort. Um, so yeah, and there is the main foundation of this story and the kind of the story I want to tell over time is that um, I want this to be a story about Vance growing into, because there is a faith like I am I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and even though this is a completely fictional story, and if you don't believe in Jesus, you can still read this story, please. But there is a God figure in this, kind of like, how Tolkien wrote, he was my biggest inspiration. So how he has like Eru as the one god, and then all the Valar as like the helpers of Middle Earth and things like that. So kind of like that. So there is that in here. And it's a lot of how Vance has to learn how to rely on the one to bring him through all of these things. Now, mind you, they're called the twin gods, and there is one that is um, the Narzenzi serve the protector, and the humans serve the guardian. So there is like this faction, but you'll see there's definitely more to it than you would think. So I don't, just putting it out there. There's more to that than you think, but I'm not going to give it too much away. Okay. All right. So that is the project. That is book one. This is already out on ebook and obviously paperback, and there's hardcover too. But coming May 10th is The Runaway, the second book in the series. This is my my author copy. This is not the finished copy. It actually, the colors look very different. I decided not to go with yellow because I don't know why I wanted to go with yellow. I wanted to go with yellow because of the field here, but it doesn't work, so it's going to be a different color. But this is the only copy I have right now. So this is Tamara on the cover, and Tamara is Vance's sister. And she has obviously been without Vance for a long time. In fact, many years pass where Vance is trapped in Zatch City before he can see her again. But this story now follows Vance's escape from Zatch City. So Vance does get out. Woohoo! That's not really too much of a spoiler. I feel like you kind of know that that's coming early on in the book, but Vance does get out. He is freed in the runaway. And so it follows Vance and his return to society, okay, but it also follows other characters. I'm a multi-POV writer. I think that that is the most fun. I've always enjoyed books that are multi-POV because I think you can get lots of different, unless they're first person, obviously. If it's a first person book, just stick with the one character. But multi-POV is fun. So we have Vance, and we also have Diane, and Diane is soldier that befriended Vance, and he ends up in a pretty sticky situation, which I'm not going to spoil at all. But he's the one who helps Vance with his escape, and you see where he kind of comes from here. And then you also follow some of the Narzenzi. So in the first book, we meet Kaman, who is the leader of the northern clan of the Narzenzi, and also his brother and who doesn't agree with the way that he runs things. And in this, it just continues following up. However, there are a lot of reveals in this about Kaman and the truth about who he really is. So in the first book, we find out that he is believed to be the reincarnation of a past leader of the Narzenzi, and a very powerful one at that, one that kind of reigned during the height of Narzenzi power. In this book, we find a lot of interesting information in regards to that and how that happened or how that could be. So the Narzenzi didn't really question it because they've been looking for kind of that hero to save the day, to get them out of the situation that they're in, since they are very few in number now and they're kind of cornered by the human population. But in this book, we see and we learn more about why that happened and how from his brother's perspective. So it's really fun. It was really fun to write. And who else do we follow? Oh, and we follow Brekla Zarak. And Brekla Zarak in this first book, she's the one who actually goes and captures Vance. She's an elite. And she's also Diane's best childhood friend. And she also has a crush on him. Like, there's a little bit of romance, but it comes more into fruition in this book. And her journey to try to recapture Vance. So that's her job. We also follow, there's a lot of multi-POV. Okay, there's a lot of characters, but I promise it all works out really well and they all get a nice story time. But Tasik Oniki, he is the head of the elites. He doesn't get as many chapters, but he's also dealing with a lot of trauma from the past war. Um, I won't get more into it about that, but yeah, so we follow these different characters in their different journeys. This is the second book in a trilogy. There is going to be a third book. It's a lot smaller than I thought it would be, especially compared to the first one. Look at that. But it's a good book. It's it's a very good lead up to the big finale. And again, there's a lot of good reveals in this. Me personally, when I read a trilogy, the second book is always my favorite. The Two Towers. If we're talking movies, The Empire Strikes Back from Star Wars. So beautiful. Okay. Or Attack of the Clones. No. No, definitely not. Okay, sorry. Sorry, prequels. I love the prequels, but Attack of the Clones is not the best movie, and that's in that grouping. But I've always loved the middle books of trilogies because they give a lot of cool reveals to kind of that you thought you were like, I really want to know what that means, and then you get them in this one, and then you have that stable foundation that leads into the final book. You know what I mean? It's so exciting. So this one is full of a lot of fun reveals. This one is full of a lot of interesting moments, and also the beginnings of some really fun plots that are going to be wrapped up in the third book. The third book is probably going to be more this size. Just saying. Um, but yeah, I love this book very much, and I had a great time writing it. So if you are at all interested in fantasy, if you are interested in science fiction-y fantasy, because it's more science fiction-y fantasy than anything, I think you will enjoy this. This series, Lord willing, will be a very long series. It's not just going to end in the trilogy. I actually have plans for a second trilogy, and I have plans, I already have written and drafted two prequels that are set in this world as well that will be much more fantasy than sci-fi because it's in the olden times. Um, so I think if you want to follow me along on this ride, I think that would be great. I'd love to have you. I do have Goodreads and everything, so you can follow me there as well as you want, if you want to. Certainly, you're not required to, but if you want to. Um, I am an amateur author. I won't say that I am like some really like I'm not like a massive talent by any means. I mean, I don't want to say I don't want to talk down about myself, but this is I've learned a lot from these books so far, and I have really worked hard. Um, and I'm not saying that to be like, oh, be nice to me. I'm an amateur. No, but I'm just trying to set up your expectations too. I am an amateur author and I have a lot to learn, I'm sure, but I really felt like it was time to publish. I've had these books sitting on my computer for 10 plus years at this point, and mind you, I've been working and reworking. These finished versions are not at all what they started as, which is great. That's great. But a lot of work and a lot of suggestion from other people and things like that. It's been a really great journey. Um, but just I hope that you will enjoy them, even though I am an amateur author, and I hope that they can bring you some joy. Um, I know they brought me a lot of joy, and I've had a lot of fun kind of learning and growing with this. And I do believe that, God has given me a talent for writing, or at least a joy for it. And I want to be able to share that with other people. So, yeah. So for the Runaway, the project you can buy at any time, all versions of the project. For the Runaway, you can only pre-order the ebook version. The other versions will be live on May 10th. So if you want a paperback or a hardcover, you have to wait until May 10th. But if you want the ebook, you can always pre-order that now. But for the project, you can get any version of it available now. So that's it. I'm gonna leave it right there. I don't think I need to say anything more about it. I know I'm not always the best at explaining my own work as much as I should be, but it's a story about a young man who is learning to deal with a lot of circumstances that he's not in control of, and learning to trust people that he never thought he would, and growing through a lot of pain. And it's also about, it's mainly focused on him, but there are also other characters that are dealing with different circumstances depending on their status or their job or things they've been through, or, you know, so I have a lot of heart for people who go through a lot of things, and I wanted to be able to share that and in some way maybe express myself in that. We've all been through hard things. I think everyone can find a character that they resonate with in this story, and of course Vance especially. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. If you enjoy this, please let me know. Give it a like, give it a comment. Feel free to check out my book on my Amazon storefront. I am a self-published author, so anything helps. And feel free to share. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day. Just remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you more. All right, bye.